Hello, I'm Rebecca. Today I am showing you how I made 5 costumes for my musical theater class who were performing scenes from Little Women. This was also a stash busting endeavor to kind of use up some of my saved fabric that I hadn't used yet. And so what I did was I made the skirts and I went to the thrift store and bought some shirts that I thought would work and a couple of jackets and a vest. So I think altogether it all came out really well. Everything went together nicely. For the skirts, all I did was cut, for 4 of them, I cut 2 panels, the full width of the fabric. And then one of them, the width wasn't quite as much, and so I did 3 panels out of that one. And so what you see here, I'm just, pinning together the side seams, and then I will sew them together. This is the fabric that I used, 3 panels. It's just a cotton broadcloth. It kind of looks and feels like a homespun type fabric. So I thought it would look nice for a skirt for Joe. And now I'm getting started sewing the 3 panels together on Joe's skirt. And because I went selvage to selvage, I didn't finish any of the seams because I just left them on the selvage, so they're not going to ravel. So this is Beth's skirt. I used a teal colored, kind of a dark teal corduroy for this. Like I said, I was just using fabric from my stash, and I thought it was a pretty color, and I thought it would suit Beth's character well. Thor getting some love before I am sewing this blue, very pretty royal blue corduroy fabric for Amy's costume. It's vibrant and a fun color, I thought. I thought that would suit Amy's personality, and of course the dogs are hitting my tripod and making everything difficult. this is the fabric for Marmee. I think it's a wool blend, I believe. I had quite a bit of yardage of it, and it's definitely a heavier fabric than the others. This is for Meg. It's a kind of a yellow and blue checked pattern, and it's a shirting material. It's I think it's a poly blend, but it drapes nicely. It's a pretty fabric. And then I'm cutting out my waistbands and pinning the waistbands to interfacing. And this of course is Joe's, and of course I follow the same thing on all of them. Just cut them out and then sew them down. Two down, three to go. I'm using sew-in interfacing. Oh, Thor getting a kiss. I'm using sew-in interfacing because I had some, and it works just fine. I think I actually prefer it to iron-on interfacing. And 5 waistbands with their interfacing ready to get put together. So here I am running some gathering stitches. Just put my machine on the longest stitch length. I think on mine it's 4.5. And I'm gonna run 2 rows of those, just checking to make sure my machine was actually sewing, because I've had that problem before. And I run 2 rows of those, and then I will just, pull on the strings together. And gathering. Again, this is Meg's dress, or Meg's skirt, I should say. It's a lot of width to get down into small waistbands. These are my my class of girls. They're, I think, between 11 and 13. Very small waists. And in fact, I had to get I went ahead and bought a cheap dress display form. It's not adjustable or anything, just in a small size, because the dress form that I have is more of a, I guess, medium to large size. And then I have one that I made for me, a duct tape one, who affectionately is named Brunhilde. The medium large size one is Joan, and so I got the new one, and I named her Slim. Sewing the interfacing to the waistband before I pin it to the skirt, and then sew that all down. So I pinned the opening on one side and the center, or well, it's not the center, it's actually the side because I'm having them open. The closure is on the side of the skirt since I made all of them except for Joe's out of 2 panels. Then I'm adjusting the gathers so it fits into the waistband. Of course, I repeated that on the opposite side, and now I am sewing down the waistband to the gathered skirt. Cutting off the excess, and then I will fold the waistband over and pin it down to the inside of the skirt. Hercules getting some love there, and getting started on Joe's skirt waistband. Of course, I followed the same steps for every single one. So now I'm running the gathering stitches for the skirt panels for Joe's, and then like before, 2 rows of my longest stitch length, and then gathering that, pulling on those gathers. Like I said, they had to be very densely gathered to fit into the very small waistbands. And attaching the waistband to Joe's skirt, or pinning it, I should say. Sewing Joe's waistband down, and just run that through the machine, and then I'll do the same thing, fold it over, actually fold it twice because so it's finished on the inside, and then pin that in place. Hercules getting some love bites in, trying to get him on my table. On to Amy's skirt. Doing those gathering stitches and then gathering the skirt. You get the idea. Now pinning on Amy's waistband. Sewing the waistband to the skirt. Lots of repetition in this video. I did the same thing 5 times. Hercules is definitely my sewing buddy. He always sits on my table, either my sewing table or my cutting table, while I'm working, and often just lays there, falls asleep. Sometimes he steals things, but for the most part, he's a good boy. Now working on Beth's skirt. And now we have arrived at Marmy's skirt. Hercules, of course, doing quality control. Getting that last waistband sewed on. So for the finishing work, I didn't record every single one. Getting Loki out of the way, always hitting my table. and playing with the door. And I love that you can see my broom, which I assume the dogs knocked over because I had just used it in the bathroom. So there you go, my broom. So I didn't record all of the finishing work on all of them because I actually did a lot of it sitting in front of the TV on the couch, and lighting's not great in there for video. And so yeah, so I sewed down the inside of the waistband I just whip stitched that, and then I did my hems on the machine. I didn't want to spend the time to hand do that, and I think it's perfectly fine. And then I added some closures. I just did skirt hooks, and then I put some snaps on the sides to make sure they stayed closed, because they're going to be doing some dancing in the skirts as well. Here's Marmy's costume, all ready to go. I thrifted this vest. It had little puff sleeves. I cut those off and bound it with twill tape, and then I adjusted the hem. And here is Joe's costume. Again, that's a thrifted jacket and shirt underneath. I thought it looked very Joe-like to me. A little like a tweed jacket. I thought it reminded me of Joe when I saw it. And here is Meg's costume. Just a little, again, a thrifted jacket. It's a blue velvet. It's very pretty. And a thrifted shirt underneath that's got some lace on it, which I didn't really zoom in so you could see that. Slim and Joan. Brunhilde's in the corner because her legs keep falling off and I need to glue them. But Slim and Joan are becoming friends. Now, this is Amy's costume. I bought this blouse and the blouse for Beth as well, and their costumes don't fit even on Slim because they're the younger girls in the class. And here is Beth's costume. I added a scarf that I thought looked pretty with this costume, and there you have it. That's all of them. Thor getting in the shot, of course. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next sewing adventure.